Nope.
Ditch or Die by Maggie Meyers. Sometimes I wonder, if Carter was still alive, would he still like those late night trips to Taco Bell? Or those stupid Lifetime movies where he'd sit with the lights off and you'd swear he'd have a tear in his eye. Just a small glint, but you wouldn't want to say anything. Or the laugh he had that could break any awkward silence and turn heads in the process. I don't know, but Carter was full of life and he deserved more than the life he was dealt. But I can't dote on these things. I have a story to tell. Because something tells me that Carter would have liked it. You know? Getting it out there like the millions upon billions of stories he told us. Not even caring if they were credible or not. My father was a trucker. And if there was one thing he taught me about truckers, is that they adopt a no-shit lifestyle. At 7 years old, my friends and I stood at the end of the road that turned off into the highway and motioned for the truckers to blow their horns. A few of them would give a fake half-assed smile before they pulled their horn, just to get us to leave the next one alone. But it didn't satisfy our need, and we continued this lifestyle until one day my father walked out of the house and caught us. He yelled something about, "One day you're gonna piss off someone with your little shenanigans and something bad's gonna happen." But we kept playing our little games, and suddenly those 7-year-old kiddie games turned into 14-year-old games of dare. You see, my friends and I played this game called Ditch or Die. It's as simple as this. You listen to the roar of a tractor trailer coming down the road. As it nears and comes extremely close enough to hit you and smear your guts all over the pavement, you jump out in front of them and cross the street as quick as possible. This would scare the living shit out of the driver, get a horn reaction or cause them to brake quickly. And when your friend makes it, like they always do, they run into the woods and you follow behind them, snickering the entire way home about the near-death experience you just stupidly created for yourself or a friend. The game was like an unspoken secret between Carter, Angel, Robert, and myself. Since my father was away and the rest of my friends came from broken homes, no one ever really wondered where we were so late at night. This is part of why stupid games like Ditch or Die came to be. Because nobody really cared about our safety, and we were out to test the waters by acting like idiotic little children all the time. On one particular night, we had all taken a walk to the corner store. After finishing our 50-cent snacks, we decided it was just about dark enough to play a round of our favorite game. We headed out to the underpass. It was nearly abandoned this time of night, but full of trucks. The employed were heading out to their destinations all over the country, heading into different states and going about their nightly routine journeys as usual. It was time to start the game. First went Angel. Robert joked in his sing-song preteen voice, "Make it across the road or else you'll become an angel tonight." It was a joke that we didn't usually use on each other because it was a bit morbid. But we knew there was always a chance that the truck would be going too fast and we wanted to push each other to make it across. Angel chose a red big rig, and just as she was passing, the horn blared and we watched behind the trees. She got to the other side and kept running. The rig kept driving, with its horn blaring away and an angry fist out the window. The driver didn't even slow down, as if he knew it was just some idiot kid who had taken the chance of a lifetime. Angel was howling in laughter from the other side of the road, and one by one she lured Robert and I across the street as new trucks came. I went a little too early, or pushed out according to Robert, and the truck didn't even notice that a kid had run out in front of it. Robert got one to slam on its brakes. The driver opened up his door and looked around for the fat figure of a child he almost hit, only to shrug his shoulders, shake his head, and keep on driving. Then, it was Carter's turn. It was a good 10 minutes of zero action or small cars passing by before we saw a gold truck come around the bend into sight. It was a familiar look for trucks in the area, and we snickered as we called across the street to Carter, urging him, calling him a pussy and the likes. Being the smartest one among us, Carter was secretly afraid of the game. He tended to tell us about how stupid it was and how one day it would get us into trouble, not thinking of any other consequences. This type of reasoning earned him a lot of heckling but he still played the game and kept us well entertained. Carter was like the life of the group, always having something to say, and we knew that he loved us through anything. "Here I come!" he screamed as he started running across the road, the trek seeming like forever. And then he tripped on a pothole. And then he fell. "Carter!" Angel screamed, but before she could completely finish her screech of terror, we heard it. The crunching of hundreds of bones being sucked under a too huge tire and shattering to pieces. It was this lurching sound like a liquefied mess being sucked into a vacuum, and then the last screech of utmost terror like a cat being flattened. What followed was the most bitter silence, broken by the truck screeching to a stop and us running through the forest, never looking back. We left our friend that day, making a vow in the middle of the woods to never play Ditch or Die again, even in his memory. We knew the regret would follow us after that. I bet we were all thinking about it in our beds that night, and for a long time to come. I stayed up most of that night thinking about Carter. My stomach churned as I vividly recalled the loud crunch of his body being broken, or how he left some poor trucker to clean up the mess, how he had to call the police and report the fact that he had just smashed some poor kid lifeless into the road on his way home from some meaningless journey. I woke up the next day and heard my parents talking downstairs. I heard my mother's casual, upbeat voice and my father's usual tired voice. He had come home from his mission. When I came into view in the hallway, my father appeared, came over and gave me a hug. I felt his body trembling as he said, "I have to go catch up on some sleep, son. It was a real long night." I was feeling shaken up, knowing my father would be so let down if he knew what would happen to us the previous night. I just nodded my head and, zombified, got on with my day. Sometime in the afternoon, Angel got a hold of me and asked if I could come over because she needed someone to talk to. I hurriedly threw on my shoes and ran outside. Before I could get out of our long driveway, I noticed my father's truck pulled up beside our house. The hose was sitting next to it, and the yard seemed somewhat flooded with water. He had given it a thorough, proper wash sometime in the middle of the night. He had never washed his truck past midnight before. Any other time, he would have just parked it, went to bed, and worried about it the next morning. I walked up to the truck and climbed up the small ladder to the door, only to peer inside and shriek at the top of my lungs. There, on the seat, was a white sneaker, Carter's size.